AI is now becoming the dominant source of information, the main source of information. Over the past 2 years, the AI companies have been moving towards alignment. So instead of the algorithms sort of honestly representing what's in the data, we're finding that these chatbots and the text-to-image models are increasingly showing us exactly what the companies want us to see, okay? So it's becoming intentional, which means that instead of trying to control the whole world and trying to somehow manage what's happening in this big blob of Wikipedia and social media, we can go directly to the companies with clear technical and advocacy solutions. So for the first time, there is a path to correcting the digital world.
Wow, she just said it. So they're going to correct the digital world and give their version of reality, because they can go directly to the AI companies and manipulate what you are seeing to change reality. Now, who is she and who is she talking about? Well, I know it's tough to figure out, but we're gonna tell you. Sharon, let us know.
Well, she's a doctor, Cenk, I'll tell you that. Her name is Maya Ackerman. She was speaking in front of the American Jewish Committee. She's a professor and entrepreneur who focuses on AI. And earlier this year, Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, made similar comments. Watch.
We're in regular contact with the major AI companies, and I'm proud to share making a difference. For example, last year, we showed OpenAI how its new video generation AI tool, Sora, made it easy to create anti-Semitic videos. We worked it out with them, laid out the facts, and then 9 months later, when version 2 came out, Sora now refuses to generate videos around several of the specific concepts that we discussed and shared with OpenAI's team.
Jonathan Greenblatt there. Let's pivot from AI to the media. This week, Danny Danon, Israel's ambassador to the UN, called for a list of any podcast hosts who speak with anti-Semites. Listen.
I want to share a story. I hope the cameras will not record it. But I got a phone call during the war from Tucker Carlson. He called me. He told me, Ambassador, can you please take me off the list? And I was shocked. I told him, what are you talking about? He told me, I'm being attacked by the Jews. So maybe you have like a list. Can you take me off the list? So I waited for a minute and I told him, Mr. Carlson, we don't have a list. You are being attacked because you're spreading lies, blood libels against our soldiers. My son was in Gaza when he called me that day. I told him, you're spreading anti-Semitism. You're hosting anti-Semites, so you're being attacked. But you know, when we finished the call, I thought to myself, Norm, maybe we should have a list. Maybe it's about time we put a list of those who promote anti-Semitism online, of those who are hosting anti-Semites on podcasts, and fight back.
So we'll end with this, pointing out that according to 972 magazine, an Israeli outlet, the IDF is running influence operations inside the United States of America. The piece is titled, Revealed, Israel's Curriculum for Influencing Public Consciousness. And it reads, Israel's defense establishment is training soldiers and other defense officials to conduct psychological operations designed to influence public consciousness in Israel and abroad. An internal defense ministry tender published last July, obtained by the Israeli investigative outlet, The Hottest Place in Hell, reveals soldiers and officials are offered numerous classes. One course teaches participants how to plan information operations for the purpose of influencing public consciousness in the local and international arena, including how to craft and disseminate messages tailored to a target population, assess their impact, apply the lessons to future operations. Some courses are taught in English for foreign partners. Those partners are not named. For these participants, the Defense Ministry built a dedicated syllabus. It includes study of the American approach, meaning US perspectives, cultural norms, conducting influence campaigns in the international arena. We have covered many other examples of Israeli government-funded psyops on the show, Cenk. None of this is surprising. The fact that we're getting these just admissions, very loud, very proud. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, so I'm surprised they're admitting it on air, but that is the height of arrogance. But let's break it down. Okay, so first of all, there's two layers to this. Should they be doing this if it was actual anti-Semitism they were combating? And what is it that I think that they're actually combating? I'm gonna say, even if it was real anti-Semitism, no, you shouldn't get to go to the AI companies or the other companies and say, I'm banning things. Now, why do I say that? Because I'm in favor of anti-Semitism? No, I always think shoe on the other foot, right? So if I had, let's say that I stayed Muslim and I have all this power and my background is Muslim, right? And you said to me, you can get the AI companies to ban any criticism of Muslims. I'd be like, no. They say, okay, but only unfair, bigoted criticisms of Muslims. I would still say no. No, if we start banning things, there's a whole host of problems. Number one, you ban it, it makes it a little bit cooler, okay, in some ways. It makes it dangerous and a rebel thing to say. Who cares? Say the stupid thing and then we'll defeat it. And as a person who grew up Muslim, billions of terrible things are said about Muslims in this country. And you know what happens? Like, yeah, it's terrible, it's propaganda. And since there's so few of us, it's really hard to be able to fight back, etc. But it's not like American society collapsed. It's not like every Muslim was killed. It's like we have to have some degree of freedom in this country, even to say terrible things. And it's a First Amendment issue. It's just a flat out First Amendment issue. You gotta be able to say it, no matter which religion it is. Now, that's in a best case scenario where they're actually trying to fight anti-Semitism, but I don't think that's the case at all. Almost every single instance is defending Israel against legitimate and accurate criticism. But they say, oh, no, it's all tropes. But wait a minute, 972 Plus magazine is an Israeli publication. They have found documents that are showing you that the IDF teaches people how to influence Americans and Westerners, and by the way, also Israelis, their own population. And they go, that's a trope. You can't say that the Israelis are trying to influence America because that's saying that Jews control, blah, blah, blah. No, we're not saying that. We're saying a government, a foreign government is trying to influence us. Would any other government, if they could, the Brazilians, the Turks, the Chinese, would they try to influence America? Of course they would. You'd be crazy not to try to influence the largest power so you could say it about everyone else, but because of the trope idea, you're banned from saying it only about Israel. That's absurd. That's absurd. So there they are. Greenblatt is the #1 person. I don't know, he's tied with Nick Fuentes for the person most driving the conflation between Israel and Jewish people overall. So we say to Fuentes and we say to Greenblatt, don't say all Jewish people. Don't say it's about Jews. Did nobody call Jewish people and ask them if they should do this operation of the Mossad or that operation of the IDF? But every time Greenblatt's like, no, you have to say it's about Jewish people. It's about Jewish people. Stop, you're making it a billion times worse. Now they're going around going, we have direct contact. You don't have direct contact with AI companies, but we do, and we have regular contact with them all the time, and we influence them. And guys, when you start talking about influence, there's a giant range, right? Influence is on this side, control is on this side. And you can call it different things. You can call it influence. That sounds like, oh, well, big pharma influences, Israel lobby influences. I keep using my own ethnicity, Turkish lobby influences. They suck at it, but if they could, would they do what Israel's doing? I think almost any country would, okay? Now, but the crime is not on them, it's on us. Why is our AI companies, why are our politicians, why are our media going along with this nonsense? But no, you're not allowed to criticize. I mean, no one would know better than me. I literally got banned from a country for criticizing Israel. All right, I have a lot more to say, but Mark, I'm curious about your thoughts on this.
I thought that was actually a very fair-handed breakdown, the one that you've just given. I have to give you that because I think that it's easy to kind of get lost in this, in the fever over Israel and over the Israeli lobby. And I think what Cenk has just said about, look, every country lobbies, all these different constituencies lobby. I think what makes this lobby different is that it's so successful on one level, but there is a fact that Cenk again has laid out, I thought very fairly, which is if you could, and I think there are constituencies to which you've referred, like the Muslim community, et cetera, that does reach out to AI controlling corporations and does reach out to the internet search corporations of the world to say, hey, this is being misrepresented, even in Wikipedia pages, et cetera. So there are all kinds of perversions of truth, as everyone in the Muslim community certainly knows. I mean, after 9/11, it was a feeding frenzy around the Muslim population. It was of America I'm talking about, and then worldwide. So I guess that they are reaching out to these companies doesn't bother me on one level, in the sense that I think everyone is reaching out. It's the way that and I'm with you on the free speech. It's sort of the way that these companies are made to heal. I think that is disturbing. I don't know to what extent ultimately it'll be effective. I was mentioning earlier in the show, I think there's been a lot of reputational damage to Israel. So I think protecting the Jewish community to the extent that they want to do it is a laudable goal. The way they're getting to that goal is maybe perverse. And again, I thought your breakdown was fair. The last thing I would say is, if you question whether there are other lobbies that are effective in America, you can look at academic institutions. You know, the Qataris and many of the Gulf nations fund a lot of universities to the tune of $15 billion last year. So it's not as though there are no other voices that are laying a lot of cash on major institutions, both academic and media in America. So again, I understand it's a front and center issue. I think Cenk breaks it down appropriately and even-handedly here today. I was really happy to hear you do it that way.
Sharon, what's your take?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a fundamental difference, though, between lobbying, influence, and indoctrination. And what they're doing is trying to indoctrinate. It's not that I mind the outreach to AI companies, which, Mark's right, a lot of people reach out. It's that they're getting through at the highest levels and they're getting action, the exact action that they want. It's not enough to capture public officials. It's not enough to, make sure that we go and do an unjust war. Now it's, I need to shape public opinion. I need to reach out to every man and woman who is perhaps engaging with chat or Claude or whatever it is. And that's scary. They're trying to take over and indoctrinate an entire society where there won't be any free thinking, at least not when it comes to the official position of the Israeli state.
Yeah. So the last thing, Cenk, I would just say is that money really leads this, and that's one of the reasons, as you know and have pointed out before here on TYT, that's why this lobby becomes so very powerful, and it's why, as I was mentioning, the Qatari money directed toward academic institutions. You have to look where big chunks of money are going, because that really ultimately in America carries the day.
Yeah, so that goes probably to the effectiveness as well, because I agree with Sharon, right? So I agree with both of you, because Mark's right, and Asian American groups are also gonna reach out and be against Asian American discrimination, et cetera. They might not be connected directly to a country, but they're gonna try to do that. Sharon's right, are they going to be effective? Sometimes, but we've seen the Israelis be far more effective. And so, and yeah, I don't mind saying Israelis, because I've over the last 3 years, I haven't seen Jonathan Greenblatt defend Jewish Americans. I've seen him defend Israelis. And I think, in fact, I think he endangers Jewish Americans the way he talks and conflates them with the actions of a government. But here's a fact to give you a sense that we're not just assuming effectiveness. In another video we showed you at a different time, these type of groups bragged that 94% of the time that they complained to Facebook to take down something that was anti-Semitic, in other words, critical of Israel, Facebook took it down. 94% of the time? No, that's outrageous. Okay, so, and by the way, it depends on the context. So China often tells companies like Facebook, you're not allowed to do this, this, or this in order to protect the Chinese government. And in China, they are very effective. In other places, sometimes in Myanmar, when there was a ethnic cleansing there, the government is sometimes effective, and it breaks your heart to see social media companies go along with them in those countries. But this is our country. So like the censorship here on behalf of another government is extra unacceptable. In fact, that's the main thing that's unacceptable. It's not academic, it's taking away our freedom. And finally, on the Israeli ambassador's comments, number one, I don't believe him that Tucker Carlson said, why are I'm being attacked by the Jews. Even if he thought that, Tucker Carlson is sophisticated enough that he would never say that to the Israeli ambassador. So that is almost certainly a lie. And I have seen Tucker talk about this both in person and on tape a million times. He's never said the Jews, so that doesn't ring true at all. But the more interesting part of that was, he said, maybe we should make a list and then punish those people. Well, first of all, there is a list. There's organizations like Canary Mission, StopAntisemitism.com. They make a list. I'm on the list, so I know there's a list. And by the way, lo and behold, I get banned from the United Kingdom. It's a coincidence that I'm on that list? I don't think it's a coincidence at all. There definitely is a list. And the person who runs that organization went to the Israeli embassy again on tape and said, yeah, anyone we think is criticizing Israel in the wrong way is going to be punished by us. We're gonna haunt them. We're gonna try to get them fired. We're gonna go after their families. We're gonna make sure that if there's a Google search, they're labeled an anti-Semite and that their lives are ruined. Well, they're admitting it. They're admitting it. And what if we did a counter list? Now think about how scary this sounds. Oh yeah? Well, I think the Israeli ambassador is right. We're gonna make a list of people who are pro-Israel and we're gonna punish them. How does that sound? That doesn't sound very good, does it? Does it sound any better when the Israeli ambassador says Israel's gonna make a list of Americans that are gonna get punished for criticizing Israel? All right, look, I know we're short on time, but quick reaction to that, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's way out of bounds. Way out of bounds. I mean, the lists of any sort are the beginning of an undoing. I love the free speech handle that you started with when we began this conversation, and I think sadly, and I say sadly because I think there is a lot of anti-Semitism out there, and there are the Nick Fuentes of the world out there, and you can even read a lot into Tucker Carlson. But I just think back to after 9/11, the way there was this tremendous, this raucous attack on the Muslim community in America, and I think that it's just a way to frame the conversation around Israel and around Judaism, and so I think the Jewish community does feel on some level put upon. So I get the legitimacy of that. But I think sadly, many of these lobby groups, AIPAC and the rest, represent less and less the Jewish community and sadly defending Israeli policy.
Yeah, and by the way, to that point, I'll give you my favorite stat that I've now said, I feel like hundreds of times, 63% of Jewish Americans are against the current government of Israel. Are they anti-Semites? Should they be put on a list? This is getting absurd. Sharon, last thought.
Well, I think there's a difference between debate, convincing, and capitulation, and that's what we're seeing too often with AIPAC and others. Or like the Israeli ambassador said, I too don't believe that Tucker Carlson ever called him up and said it, or at least not like that. But this is where we are, and it's against that 63% and against a higher percentage of Americans who do not believe this any longer, and the message is still breaking through regardless.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.